I've just come back from being lost in the woods. Yeah, that's not a joke, that actually did happen, and that's why I'm late to making this video and I won't be live streaming tonight. But we've got more important things to talk about, and that's the Cavalier difficulty, or wood-based travel difficulty. This sees a little bit of good news for the contest, especially from an endgame perspective and as well from a feedback loop, which hopefully is going to improve over time. Now, the Cavalier difficulty, as being sort of described here, is a road to Cavalier difficulty and gives really a test of the waters as to what is to come. Because at the end of the day, what is really the feedback as to what is a difficulty for a Cavalier going to look like? Is it going to be judged on what is the last point to be as a Cavalier or the first point? At the very last idea of what to get to be a Cavalier, and as well what you would see from what is a side quest and then obviously future content from being a Cavalier, would basically mean that we should be facing off against the delightful 6.1.6 Sentinel boss fight as being the final boss we'd face off against. But that shouldn't really be the case, and I don't think that is really fair for anything from a further build of this. But that is what is important about this message as to the feedback loop from players when this event goes in, and obviously what Kabam get from us on the idea of like, is this good for the future of the contest? The prospect of a Cavalier difficulty for a lot of players that are going like, well, look, the content isn't really there for me to do. I'm an endgame player. I smashed at everything. Yeah, I can do most stuff. But I think it is really an important balancing act, because at the end of the day, you're looking at something like MCOC Labs, which was introduced, which is a little bit of a troll in different areas, especially with lots of different things. From rerolls, boss fights, interaction, as well as rewards for that. It is important that Kabam get this right, because expectations are incredibly important. And as well, the difficulty scaling is going to be one of the crucial things. And yeah, the idea of a Cavalier MCOC Labs or MCOC Island difficulty is the thing that gives me the heebie-jeebies. It makes you think like, well, I don't and definitely do not want to see that as a side quest in the monthly confide. But stuff like when it comes to like rifts or like the classing gate stuff that you've seen before, or the kind of specific type of champion gates like the class trips with Nick Fury and the whole kind of like Stark Spidey type thing, or the stealth suit Spidey in the second Spider-Man film. I can get my words out. That would be something I think would work quite well with this. Yeah, but don't MCOC Labs, Sinister Labs, no way. Also, for those interested, there is an active forum post that's dealing with a lot of like feedback to this. If you are interested in having your say on the matters at the moment, you can do. Heebie-jeebies accelerated because Command Mike says that on this like side quest thing, it's a side quest like Island of Dr. MCOC, all the red rooms, etc. They are not the actual event quest, but the side quest that goes with them. Obviously, the statement that is put out here is about the further progression of a player and the stumbling blocks of saying, look, someone that's done 5.2 and as well someone that has gone further to explore a good chunk of Act 6, what kind of content should be built for them. And it's a very difficult one because not many people would have 100%ed Act 6. I myself are still working towards a lot of the 100%ing of Act 6, but obviously based on a few stumbling blocks when it comes to gating systems, very specific buffs, and as well very unique nodes that you might face off against, it is a case that it's not the best content in the world to go up against, and especially when you're getting your roster to the point of trying to take on this, what a Cavalier difficulty will be very, very much a case of, right, well, do we trust in Kabam to make something that is fair, that is fun, and as well does reward back? Those are crucial things that we should look to see. The other thing that comes about with this is the big announcement. Now, let's face it, the big announcement for me was seeing whether or not we'd see the updated roadmap or the future of the game based on the general feedback loop and the general feedback forum that was put together, the forum post that was put together nearly a month ago. So the fact is, where does that all play into stuff? Well, it doesn't look like it's arrived this week. So next week, I think, is going to be the crucial week. The big announcement, and that is the thing to really look out for when it comes to whether this difficulty, these changes actually factor into a future of the game, which Kabam Mike actually alludes to in this little kind of snippet here, saying of course this is not it, but would have been part of it. We wanted to get this out earlier because we know you're all anticipating the next difficulty, but we're still working on finalizing that. There are lots of work to be done there, because we're not just writing out what we're doing, we're looking at what we want to change from player feedback as well. I'm pretty happy this hasn't been forgotten, because as I've said previously, this is incredibly important for a lot of players. And I would say that if we're saying early June, then early June would probably be in the first 2 weeks of June, which obviously next week will be crucial to answering against this stuff. So we wait to see what's going to happen. Now, in the feedback loop for this particular announcement, I was copied in by Double Delta. Thanks for doing that. And as well, points to DNA 3000. As you know, DNA 3000 is someone we've had on the podcast, and a lot of the opinions and the analytical data that he puts together is stuff that I really enjoy reading out. And obviously, he stresses, as well as Double Delta and many others, is that this is a good opportunity for communication from Cavalier's perspective and a community-led perspective. Whether or not you say, when in past, that you looked at Act 6 and gone, hey, do you know what, some of this stuff isn't exactly in keeping with players, and Cavalier didn't listen, but obviously went through it anyway. This is a good point to understand that, yes, when this is put in a month's time, that we go, either the content is too difficult, it's too champion specific, and as well, the rewards aren't stacking correctly. Many things are really important, obviously, for a feedback loop. And I do welcome and urge players that give constructive and fair criticism to the developer when that's done. And kabam, listen to what players have to say on that content when it's put in and act on it. And that's the thing. So fingers crossed, I'm rooting for you. And yeah, Cavalier difficulty. Surprised, but happy to see it. There we go, guys. That has been a video. Thoughts about the Cavalier difficulty in the comment section down below. I am not going to be live streaming tonight because obviously this is very late, and I'm so glad to be not lost in the woods overnight. So check out some recent content there. Check out some other stuff down there, and I'll see you for some weekend videos. Got a few synergy videos and then a rank up video on Sunday. So see you for them. Bye bye for now.